So I'm sure we've all seen the latest mind-bending horror of flames to come out of the Zionist entity and their continued final solution, essentially. The Greater Israel Plan being realized that, like all of us said it would be, like they said themselves, that was what they were doing, while people tried to tell us that that was never what they were doing, while we got lied to for a year about the obvious truth, the obvious thing that we are seeing playing out in front of us, piece by piece, bit by bit, life by life. We saw it, and I'm sure that if you are anything like me, if you have, a heart, right? And you know what I mean by that. Like, if you have a heart, it was hideous and affecting, and like we're just talking, wordless rage and tears and venom and the kind of anger that can consume a soul and make a person essentially want to give up. I totally understand feeling that when seeing images like that, and I felt it too. And I wanted to just add a little counterpoint. We should be feeling like that all the time. That was not the first person burned. That was not the first person burned that day, that week, that month, right? Us seeing it is affecting and is important, but it also means that we are centering ourselves and centering how we feel about the things that we are taking in. And it is important. And as I've said before, I will never denigrate the power of social media and the power of showing people these things. It's why Mamie Till decided to show people what happened to her son despite the horror of it. However, if it affects us more when we see it and moves us more to action, then that means that we are ignoring the things that we can't see that we also know to be happening, right? The horrors that are happening in prisons all across this country, the horrors of what's happening to immigrants, the horrors of what continues to happen to Black people. Flint still doesn't have clean water. Horrors abound. Our world is a world of horrors. It is a nest of villains and vipers that have controlled every country and are controlling our minds to the point where we only really see the horrors when we are faced with them in a way that is so grotesque that we should never even have to see it. Keep that disgust, keep the fire, keep the rage, keep all of that. Let it burn, right? Let it burn, and every day have yourself be reborn from your own ashes stronger. Because we're going to need to be stronger, because that horror is going to keep happening as it has been happening every day in countries, most countries in this world, right? Most countries are essentially acts of evil. Borders themselves are acts of evil. We don't even have to retread that ground. But the fact is that whenever we let things calm down, whenever we stop changing our lives, the way we live our everyday lives, a little bit every day, as much as we can, whenever we take our foot off the gas, we let them win. And yes, these horrific incidents do need to be seen. They are important. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be affected. I am thoroughly affected, and you should be too. But we should be just as affected when we don't see it. Because what we are living in, what we are living under, is the end of the world's most evil empire. The end of a regime that has to end. It has to be brought down. It has to be brought down by us. And it is crumbling. Okay. The fact that they are letting cities and towns in this country be washed away by natural disasters that are not natural, that were done to us by fossil fuel companies on purpose. The science has been building since like the 1850s. Okay, there were some of the first predictions that carbon could affect climate. This was done to us. Every day it is being done to us, whether or not we can see it, whether or not there are corpses being played for us on our little magic phone boxes here. And every day I hear, what's the move? What do we do? I don't know what to do. But there are lots of little things you can do all the time, every day. And we don't do them because we're looking for one big thing. It is not going to be one big thing. The collapse is not one big thing, right? It's just like, look at New Orleans, okay? New Orleans is still not the same as it was after Katrina. There are entire areas of it that were essentially abandoned and have not been rebuilt. For us, the horrors of Helene and Milton may be over with the news cycle, but for the people who are there, it's only the beginning. It's going to be what, months, a year, if they're lucky and they had some resources. Otherwise, we're talking about 10 years, maybe the rest of their lives before they can actually rebuild a kind of life that they can live comfortably in, or that they can just have the basics that they need. Because where are people going to go? There is no place in this country that is set up to actually provide essentially climate refugees with a new and happy and good life. That infrastructure does not exist. So we have hundreds, thousands of people who are now climate refugees, internally displaced within their own country, and are not going to be given any resources, any way of actually reacclimating themselves and to set up a whole new life. But you know what there is? There is prison. That'll be happy to take them. That's the infrastructure that they have for us. So whatever it is that is your personal flame, the thing that really sets you alight, the thing that makes you burn with that incandescent rage and sadness, sadness born of rage and rage born of sadness, because the two are not exactly the same. They are connected and they're different and they're both important. Use those feelings to change the way that you live and to change the way that you view the future. And as I said to some members of my community, you have to live as if you believe there is a future worth having. And you have to work towards that future. And know in all of that, that it's going to be hard, that it is uncertain that we will make it, but that we deserve it. That everything that we don't have from this planet is something that has been taken away from us because the planet wants us to have it. The earth is abundant. It is the greed of a few that cannot ever be satiated. Burn and love and fight every day for the future we deserve. Be reborn from your own ashes every morning, remembering what it is that is burning you, and strive and struggle to fight every day with every action that you can. And if more of us were doing a little, we wouldn't need so many people to give all, to surrender their lives. We can't have people just standing aside anymore. You have to do something. If we were all doing a little, no one would have to do a lot. And we could have everything we need. This is all so fragile, and it's coming down. But how it comes down and upon whom is up to us.